Hi everyone, good morning or good afternoon to some of us on different continents. This is Digital Storytelling Festival Day 2. Thanks for your great attitude, curiosity, enthusiasm yesterday, also for your insightful comments and all the fun that you created on the chat section. Today we have another day full of stories, learning, and hopefully also fun. As yesterday, I will start with inclusive engagement guidelines to make sure that this is a safe space for everyone to have fun and interact. And we ask everyone to listen and read with the same energy and focus with which they would like to be here. Embrace a learning mindset, be aware of your own biases, and have the courage to be curious about what you don't know or understand. Respect all different points of view, hold space for multiple perspectives and lived experiences. Own any errors you make, apologize and make amends if necessary. We as speakers and hosts will do the same. And maintain that any person has the right to speak up when the boundary is crossed. If there is any issue that you would like to flag with Europeana staff, please send a direct message. Today, my colleagues Maggie and Georgia are helping on chat. A little bit more practical, useful information. So to interact with other people, use the comment section. So if you want to tell your opinion, just say something, give a compliment. If you want the speaker to answer your question, use the Q&A section. This is this little kind of tool thinking bubbles icon on the bottom of your menu. We'll try to address all the questions during the session or shortly after by email if we are really flooded by the questions. That happens sometimes. Thanks for sharing all your Digital Storytelling Festival experience from yesterday. The hashtag today as well is DigiStoryFest. If you'd like to post on X, on LinkedIn, or share the stories, we'd love to see your monitors and your places from which you were following the festival yesterday. To ensure accessibility, hosts and speakers are encouraged to do a visual self-description. It's a short description of yourself and your surroundings. So I'll give an example now. I am a white woman in my 30s with brown eyes and brown shoulder long hair, wearing a pink top with a botanical pattern on it, and behind me there is a plain white wall. Ana Moreno, who's my colleague and friend, will be sketchnoting during the panel sessions. So a visual recap will be shared at the end of each day on social media and in your mailbox after the festival. And important thing, we are a very small but very dedicated team organizing this event, and we wanted to be better every year. To make it better, we need your feedback. So every time you close the Zoom window, there will be a little survey. Please answer the questions which are there. It will help us. Just quickly to show Anna's work from yesterday, because it really deserves some praise. And for the details, check LinkedIn or X. And now, today's program. So we'll start with a keynote talk by Georgina, who I'll introduce in a second, then 2 panel sessions about innovative media and opening audiences to new horizons. There will be a pop quiz to test your knowledge of storytelling, but also to check if you follow this festival well. And 2 workshops which are exploring diversity and inclusion in 2 different ways. So Stories That Move by Anne Frankhouse, and the stories untold by cultural heritage item description by the Bias project team. And now, time for our keynote talk. Our speaker is Georgina Hall from National Portrait Gallery in Australia, who is ready to ramble. She is a content creation whiz who loves to bring collections and make them the most possibly accessible to different target groups. Georgina, the floor is yours and you can take control.
Brilliant. Thanks so much. I'm so excited to be speaking today. A huge thank you to the digital storytelling team. I'm Georgina. My pronouns are she, her. I am a white woman in my late 20s. I have short, kind of brownish hair. I'm going to say greenish eyes. I'm wearing very large dangly earrings, and I have a navy blue turtleneck on. And if you see my hair moving at all, it's because the heater is blasting at me because it's about 0 degrees here in Canberra. So I'd like to start my speech by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the land on which I live and work, which are the Ngunnawal and the Ngambri people. They have looked after this place for tens of thousands of years, and it's really, really beautiful here at the moment. We're moving into winter, so all the trees are dropping their leaves, the colours are changing, and it's just so nice to live somewhere with such history. Cool. So my talk is all about, is social media still social? I've worked at the National Portrait Gallery for just over 2 years now, and to say I absolutely love my job is an understatement. I think it is fascinating. I get to play with a really, well, it's quite small, a small collection that's really powerful, because not only are we a gallery, but we're also basically a social history museum. The remit of the National Portrait Gallery of Australia is to reflect the face of Australia, to tell Australian stories, and to increase the understanding and appreciation of Australian people through portraiture. We want to talk about their identity, their history, their culture, creativity, and our diversity. This is what we look like. That orange blob at the front, that's actually a portrait. It's called Geoface Distributor. And it kind of talks about, you know, when you see faces and things that don't actually have faces, like the clouds, it's talking about that. We just call it the blob though. Yeah. So a key part of my sort of work is this document here. So in 2023, the Australian government released a national cultural policy. Now, we haven't had one of these for a very long time. We had a change of government and they were like, yes, the arts. And we were like, thank you for thinking of us. It's called Revive, a place for every story, a story for every place. And what I want to focus on today is the third pillar. So the third pillar is called the centrality of the artist. It's all about putting the artist first, making sure we pay artists, making sure that they are heard, and making sure that they're supported by our institutions like the National Portrait Gallery. So we've been supporting artists as the National Portrait Gallery for a very, very long time. I lie, it's only been about 25 years. But what we have been doing for 17 of those years is something called the National Photographic Portrait Prize. Every year we put out a call for entries and ask for people's photographic portraits of the year that was. It's a really, really nice, you know, it's a little flip book of the year that's been. Our 2020 version had a lot of face masks. We also went through a lot of environmental things that year. So there were a lot of bushfires and images of that. And sort of moving out of COVID, I think this is the first year that since COVID, that we've not actually had any face masks in the photos, which is a bit wild. So the way that I, as the social media coordinator, support these artists, the between 30 and 50 finalists each year, is by proactively posting their finalist portraits and artist statements across our socials. So the National Portrait Gallery, our main social accounts are Instagram and Facebook. And we have over 180,000 followers across the two. Now, that's nowhere near as big as the likes of the British Museum, but it is a substantial following that we really need to look after and steward. And the fact that we can give established photographers through to novice amateur photographers a platform in front of 180,000 people is really, really important, or it's important to me at least. So what I'm going to tell you about today is I've picked 4 stories from 2 years of the National Photographic Portrait Prize about both the artist and in some cases the sitter. And I want to show that these stories are personable, they're relatable, and they show the complexity of humanity and the way in which social media is used to showcase that complexity. So some stories are great, they're fantastic, they're really heartwarming, but some are really negative. But all have been sort of facilitated or have taken place using the Portrait Gallery channels as they were intended, which is as a place for social media. So we are inviting people to have an opinion. So the following case studies, they're going to highlight some of the ways that our National Photographic Portrait Prize, or I'm going to probably start referring to it as the NPPP, the ways that that artist cohort have interacted with our online space and the way that we use it to actually increase engagement and impressions. So we're starting, once the slide shuffles across, with this man here. This is Wayne Quilliam. Wayne is a First Nations man who won the National Photographic Portrait Prize in 2022 for this really beautiful work of Eric Yunker Porter, who lives in the central desert of Australia. So he's here in ceremonial garb, and it is truly, I know the reflection doesn't do it much justice, but standing in front of it or even viewing it on your phone screen, it is so powerful and so moving. And the way that he has gotten this man's complexion to look exactly how it would in real life is just phenomenal. The skill there, so good. So Wayne is actually a veteran award-winning photographer, but he was still very, very chuffed by his win with Silent Strength. He mentioned that it rekindled friendships with people that he hasn't actually been in touch with for years, and it brought on new opportunities for him. One of these opportunities was actually the prize money that we gave him. So the winners of the National Photographic Portrait Prize, well, the winner singular, they win $30,000 in cash. But we also are partnered with Canon Australia, like the camera Canon people, and they donate $20,000 worth of camera gear to the winning photographer. Now, Wayne, what he did was he took that camera gear and he donated it back to country. He donated it to Eric's clan, and he did that so he could sit down and teach them about photography, about storytelling, about cameras, so that they can do what he does and so that they feel empowered to do so. Due to the reach across our social media channels as well as Wayne's, this portrait ended up as the cover of Wayne's Culture is Life book, and it has a little subtitle at the bottom that says winner of the 2022 National Photographic Portrait Prize. So when fancy people buy his stuff, it makes us feel great. It's wonderful. It's like a little spruik for us. You can see that the engagement stats here, they're very impressive. But as we go along, you're going to see those tick up. And it's interesting that even a winner doesn't actually get the most engagement. My next little case study, this is Kat Leedon. Kat Leedon is the most wonderful human being I've ever met. Her portrait caught my eye as soon as we saw it in 2022. It is striking. It is confronting. Because she has taken this self-portrait post a double mastectomy. She tells her story in a little vox pop that you can find on our website, but this is her second surgery and she has children. And so it was just that raw moment of sort of emotion that she caught. And what everybody on socials thought was quite profound, and it was really lovely reading all those comments. So Kat sort of facilitated a space where women saw themselves. They saw the vulnerability, they saw the anger, they saw the potential hope, and they expressed this in the comment section of all the posts. They were cheering on her success and recovery. They were recounting their own stories. They were tagging friends who thought they could use a little, pep talk through a photograph. And my not favorite thing, but the thing that I find so important is that Kat didn't actually, she doubted putting this, accepting that she was a finalist, which is what you can see in the right hand photo or screen capture. She was like, oh no, am I ready? And she was like, you know what, we're gonna do this, we're gonna have this conversation. And the really, really special part of all of this was the fact that Kat was on socials on her own account replying to almost every single comment. And it was so special to see the way that she engaged with people. Ones that were flippant, she still engaged with. And it was just so empowering for her, but so empowering also for all the women in that comment section who, wanted to be seen the way that she had been seen. So what you can see here, especially on Instagram, is the 130 comments. That's a lot more than we usually get. Our comment section only ever pops off when we post something really nostalgic, like a portrait of someone who created a children's cartoon or a portrait of someone who's passed away recently. That's a side note. Those always get like so many likes and so many comments because people think that this person who has passed away is going to be able to see those comments and go, thank you, Steve from Queensland. It's great. Kat is a really wonderful human being, and she didn't actually enter a portrait this year, which I was sad about. But I think this level of vulnerability kind of gets, when you're thrust in front of 180,000 people, it can kind of get to you, which is a great way to lead into my next little case study. This one's not so positive. Just as a forewarning, this is Rowan Thompson. He was a 2023 finalist, and this is his portrait of Majanka Norris. She's a First Nations artist. And this post, despite the positivity that he felt around it, that she felt about the photo, it was co-opted, the messaging was warped, and it ignited a really unnecessary online debate. So this post that I'm about to show you, which is of the portrait, is actually the 4th most popular social media post of all time on our Facebook at 22,928 engagements. But this is because somehow we ended up on the wrong side of the internet. I don't know if you're all aware, but last year, Australia had a referendum basically asking if we endorsed the government setting up what they called the Voice to Parliament, which would be an advisory board of First Nations or Aboriginal or Indigenous people who would be consulted with anything that had to do with First Nations land rights, First Nations, basically their rights, full stop. And there was a really, really vile vote no camp who were basically just racists in disguise, and we were fielding that. So, oh no, I went too far ahead. Spoilers. Trying to get the Q&A up and it's not happening, team. Anyway, so we were co-opted by the Vote No movement. This photo was shared on their pages. I sillily posted this on a Saturday, which meant that I had a lot of work to do over the weekend, sort of looking at all those comments and being all like, oh, if the artist or sitter saw these, would they be offended? If the answer was yes, then we would remove or hide the comment. I'm not sure how many of you have had the experience of having a post go viral for the wrong reasons, but it's not fun. The impact of this whole experience made us actually realize that it wasn't just a free-for-all on socials. We couldn't just rely on social media to kind of manage itself. We actually needed something in place that would mean that we had policies, we had procedures, we had guidelines for when things got out of hand, because it wasn't, you know, it's not, it shouldn't be all on my shoulders to be able to make those choices, and especially not on a Saturday at like 6 p.m. Nobody wants that. So this post was the one that caused us to develop our social media and community guidelines. And if you look after socials for your organizations, that is my number one recommendation. You don't have to use your social media and community guidelines very often, but they are so handy to have when things kind of go wrong. We, last year as well, actually posted a photo of these two wonderful artists. They're called the Huxleys, their husbands. They were stark naked, covered in blue glitter, and the everything was out, and the conversation immediately pivoted to describing everything that was out. And we were like, you know what? Comments are gone. That was also on a Saturday. So, you know, last year was not great on a Saturday. Moving on to my last little case study, and perhaps my favorite story of them all. You already got a sneak peek because I don't know how to press buttons. This is Bruce. Bruce is an amateur photographer. He actually wrote his artist statement using ChatGPT because he was like, I don't know how to do this. And I was like, Bruce, just send us some dot points and we'll do it for you. He does a lot of sports photography, but he met this woman and he was like, you know what? I'm going to photograph her because she's really interesting and she's going to look great. He actually won the People's Choice Award, which is a $10,000 award that goes to the artist. And that was voted on by almost thousands of people. They came in, they saw the photo of Vicky and they went, this is it. So Vicky, who's in the portrait, she's the sitter. She's a burn survivor. And she is actually the single reason that this man won this People's Choice Award. Vicky was like, you know what? I'm really proud of this portrait. I'm really proud of how I look in it. And I am going to spruik this on every single social media channel that I have. And I'm going to send it to people and they're going to vote for it. So she has this little TikTok account, which I snooped around and found. And she was just, you know, this is the best photograph ever. We love it. It's so great. And, you know, I do love it as well. I think it's phenomenal. And her story as well is really phenomenal. This is our third most popular social media post of all time on Facebook. So where Rowan Thompson's portrait had 22,900, this one had 34,352. Actually, obviously I didn't do that right because I can't do maths, and that would be 37 odd thousand. I do socials, I don't do mathematics. So Vicky, her story did almost all of the heavy lifting. Her story and herself did almost all of the heavy lifting. And she was on forums, she was on TikTok, she was on Facebook groups dedicated to burns victims. And the traction of her constant posting and the breadth of her reach, which we could see due to the emails that were coming in. So we track the email addresses. When they come in, they get added to our little mailing list, which I also write. It's so great. And they were all nurses. A lot of them were nurses. So we could tell that she was putting it on sort of medical forums, and they were like, we love this. And, you know, she managed to use it in a way that we can't really use social media. You know, we're a government organization. I can't go out there and be all like, you should vote for this person. You know, we're trying to give them all their time in the sun. But this is a way I think that a post or an actual artwork is co-opted in a way that's actually really, really positive. To be entirely honest, that's all I kind of have for you. I can't work out how to get into the Q&A, which is not ideal. Alex, can you help with that?
Yes,
If
I
that's done,
can.
that's also okay.
There is a question for you saying, so if I understand correctly, you introduce a new concept, something as people are cultural heritage. This is the question that we have in the Q&A.
I mean, maybe. I think so. I think people can represent cultural heritage. You know, we create culture. So we are, you know, remnants, I guess, of cultural heritage. For example, this photograph here is going to live on the internet forever. And you can see so far up my nose that you could probably see my brain. This is something that our board loves to do every year on Museum Selfie Day. And in fact, our chair, who is right in the middle there with the flowery top, she said, Georgina, it needs to be exactly the same as last year. We need to see up your nose. And I'm like, right, okay. So wonderful. So, I mean, that's all I've got, but I really appreciate all of you letting me come and present. Sorry that I don't have a really fun conclusion. I didn't say I would though in my little bio. But if you want to get in contact, my email address is there. You can find me on LinkedIn as well. All of my photos everywhere. I'm bald, but I'm not anymore. So in case you're confused, it's still me. Thank you all so much.
Thank you so much. It was great to see how all these metrics and numbers, who I guess everyone working with socials is reporting now and then, are translated in the human stories and reactions and emotions, and both good and bad ones, which is also something to mention because we all have to hide these comments sometimes.
Yeah.
And it was absolutely amazing to see all those beautiful pictures already from your slides, but also with your commentary on how actually the artists, but also the person photographed, can like make a change and put themselves out there, and that there is a power of social media. And also about working on Saturdays. Everyone who does it relates, unfortunately, but yeah, this is it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Well, just quickly, Alex, Maggie says there are 2 more questions. Do I have time?
Can you answer them maybe in, you can type them for this person in a little chat, and then everyone will see. And because we are quite tight with timing, I will hand over to Beth to introduce the next session. Thank you so much, Georgina.
Thanks, team. I'll answer your questions in the chat.
Wonderful. Thank you, Georgina. That was wonderful. Yes. And I love the idea of the complexity of humanity being what is shown. And I think that is going to come out time and again throughout today. So this is today's first panel on innovative media. My name's Beth Daly and I'm your host for this session. So I'm a white woman in my early 40s. I have long wavy auburn hair. I'm wearing glasses and a headset and a cozy green jumper because in the UK it's turned back to winter, even though it was the summer at the weekend. And in my background is a map of the UK, which is made up of authors' names. And I'm approximately here in the north of England today. So we have 3 great speakers and 3 fascinating projects to share with you. So we will just crack straight on. Each of our speakers has been given a very difficult job of sharing their project with us in just 10 minutes. So I know that you're going to have questions for them. So when you do, please use the Q&A function in Zoom, and we will get through as many as possible at the end of the session. So first up is Maria, who's just turned her camera on. Hello, Maria. Welcome. Maria Utsi is Head of Strategy and Innovation at the International Sami Film Institute and is a Sami cultural leader from the Norwegian side of Sápmi. She has held leading roles in arts organisations, festivals and theatres, and is Deputy Chair of the Norwegian Arts Council. And currently, Maria serves as a consultant with a specific focus on promoting diversity strategy and development within the Norwegian and Sami art and culture domain. And today she's going to talk to us about an ambitious, immersive video storytelling experience, Aaron 360. So Maria, over to you.
Thank you so much, Beth, and hello to everybody. It's so nice to be here today and being able to present to you this wonderful project that we have been working on for the last 2 years. As Beth said, my name is Maria Utsi and I work for the International Sami Film Institute, and I'm here to present to you briefly the project Aran 360, which is a fusion of indigenous storytelling and innovative technology. Let's see if this works. Look at that, wonderful. First, briefly about the International Sami Film Institute. For those of you who don't know us from before, the International Sami Film Institute is dedicated to providing the Sami people with skills and economic opportunities in developing, producing, and distributing Sami films in the Sami languages. The Sami is the indigenous people of Norway, Sweden, Finland, and the northwestern part of Russia. So our nation spans 4 national states. ISFI is an expert on Sami storytelling, and we are building a sustainable and innovative Sami film industry that is globally visible and attractive. And at the same time as I'm here speaking to you, my colleagues are all in Cannes to present, as we do every year, Sami films at the Cannes Festival. Good people, through our stories and films, we truly fight for the survival of Sami culture, values, and languages. And by
Maria,
telling,
may I interrupt slightly? Do you have control of the slides? Are they moving with you? We're not seeing them move.
They will be moving them.
All right, you have. Okay.
Yes, I think I have.
Sorry for interrupting.
I moved the first one. So by telling our stories, we do create our future. The Aran project, here you can see it physically, a big lavvo in the San Servolo island of Venice. But first, ISFI is the Aran, the fireplace. Aran is the Sami word for fireplace, where the Sami stories catch fire and where our storytellers gather to connect with the past and create the future. Aran is the Northern Sami word to describe the hearth of a lavvo, our traditional nomadic tent, around which Sami storytelling has taken place since time immemorial. Aran symbolizes the life force of the Sami people and where the relationality between human and non-human beings is interwoven. The Aran 360 project embodies the Sami perspectives on circular time, where past, present, and future meets in a continual flow of time, bodies, and ideas. Aran 360 was official part of the extended program of the Sami Pavilion at the 59th International Art Exhibition La Biennale de Venezia, the Venice Biennale. And the 360 project was the first of its kind film project that featured 6 original 360-degree films created by 6 leading Sami filmmakers across Sápmi, our nation. The films were presented in this purpose-built giant lavvo and equipped with a 360-degree screen designed to showcase these special works. Here you can see it from the lagoon. Entering the Lavo, you were surrounded by the ambience of Sami soulscapes, and through our stories, you could experience Sami lands and worldviews. So in the middle of the Venice famous lagoon on the island of San Servolo, we entered a new digital realm when indigenous storytellers forefronted the exploration of XR technologies. This was truly a fusion of indigenous storytelling and innovative technology, and definitely our most ambitious project to date. As I said, the Lavo has a strong tradition in the Sami culture, and it has been both a home and a spiritual space for our people for centuries. The Lavo was our shelter in the harsh Arctic winters, and we constructed it to endure strong winds, even though the Venetian government was very skeptical to our ability to build a structure that could cope with the Venetian winds. Our children were born and our stories told here, and our elders passed here, and traditional Lavo has always been mobile. And as our famous poet Ailohas said, "My home is in my heart and it migrates with me." As I mentioned, when you entered the film Lavo, you stepped into this circular space equipped with a 270-degree screen and a state-of-the-art immersive sound system. The 6 filmmakers created new films for this project that challenged the traditional and conventional linear storytelling, and through this reflecting Sami tradition in a whole new manner. You can here see the logos for all the 6 films that when they come together creates the Aran symbol. At the premiere, one more picture from inside the Lavo. At the premiere of the project in August 2022, Sami artists from all over Sápmi participated to celebrate Aran and underlined the true multidisciplinarity and the multidisciplinary nature of the Sami art field. He represented with dancers, dance company Elle Sofa company that's now touring the world with their fantastic dance performances. In addition to the 360 films, the Aran project also explored the potential of AR as an indigenous artistic medium through exhibiting Carola Gran's project, The Daughters of Mataraka. Mataraka is the Sami maternal goddess, and her daughters Saraka, Uksaka, and Yuksaka protect and guide the Sami people. The 3 digital goddesses protected our film Lavo, and through your phone you could both meet them and hear more about their story, as you can see in this pictures. We also presented our own guide in the shape of Raste. He would show the way to the Aran Lavo from wherever you met him, and greet audiences when they entered the San Servolo island from the Vaporetto boat in Venice. Here you have him. And as you can see, of course, we had to take him with us to the St. Mark's Square also and give him a little spin for the fun of it. When you met Rasta, he would greet you with this text, Boris, which means hello in Sami. My dear friend, welcome. My name is Rasta. I have been expecting you. Will you come with me to the place where past and future intertwine? Rivers, winds, the tundra beneath my feet, the birds in the sky, the feeling of snow whipping my face. I bring that with me. What will you bring? Are you aware that utmost beauty is not seen with the eyes? Follow me to Arran. And we became very fond of this beautiful man during our time in Venice, I can tell you that. It's more from Matraka's daughters. Truly fantastic to bring the Sami goddesses to Venice and let them protect our project, our guests, our filmmakers, and our film Lavo. AR truly has the potential to reflect Sami worldviews and tradition as it makes the invisible visible and creates a space in between dimensions. Lastly, we created a digital and interactive poster that was presented all over Venice and in all Vaporetto stops around the city, where you through a QR code with your smartphone could actually enter a 360 screening that would appear around you anywhere. The screening showed a clip from one of the films, Ella Maria Eira, the director of the Stolen movie in Netflix, if you have seen it lately. Her 360 film called Girtno was called Girtno, which means the reindeer coral in English. And standing at the heart of the Girtno with the 360 screen around you, anywhere in Venice, surrounded by the reindeer, moving in circular motions, the viewer could experience and taste a taste of the great forces that truly exist at the heart of reindeer herding. The Arran project was a great success for us and has since August 2022 been presented several places in Norway. In February 2024, we also premiered 5 new 360 films as part of the Bodø 2024 European Capital of Culture opening. For the coming years, strengthening indigenous digital sovereignty will be our main objective as we in 2024 starts off the project Indigenous XR Lab, a broad international project that aims to explore and develop XR knowledge, content, and networks all around the indigenous world. The project will also aim to further develop and strengthen indigenous AI in collaboration with a broad spectrum of international partners such as Walt Disney Animation Studios, York University, and Netflix that we collaborate very closely with. We will also go international with the Arran 360 project and we'll be heading to Australia and New Zealand in 2025, aiming to present new indigenous 360 films in the Arran Labo there. So please follow us on isfi.no on Facebook and Instagram for news on our development. Thank you so much for listening.
Wow, thank you so much, Maria. That's absolutely fascinating. I love the word soulscapes that you use. That's really evocative and I think really an immersive word that gives us a good idea. And I love the idea of taking digital goddesses with us to Venice or wherever else we might like to go. Really fascinating. I wonder if you could pop your those following details that you just mentioned into the chat. That would be really useful to everybody to follow you. And there are some questions already in the Q&A for later. If you have any more for Maria or anyone else, please pop them in the Q&A. And we will move along now to Carl Sedgwick, who is a 3D designer and co-founder at Domingo Studios and a self-titled geek. And alongside a fascination for 3D and AR, Carl loves delving into historical reconstructions, blending technological expertise with a deep appreciation for the past. And he thrives on the intersection of innovation and heritage, which is exactly what he's going to talk to you about today. So welcome, Carl, over to you. If you can take control of the slides, they will be yours.
Thank you very much. Good morning. Bore da from West Wales. It's quite sunny where we are, so I'm not that far away from Beth. But it's always sunny down here. So yeah, my name's Carl Sedgwick. For the visually impaired, I'm 51 years old, balding, white, My background is blurred, but there's a shrine to Pink Floyd behind me. So I'm wearing a light grey t-shirt and I have a short beard. So yeah, I'm going to talk about the Liverpool courts today, and this is kind of a personal project, really. Started as a personal project, turned into a sort of project that was picked up by the museums. I'm going to quickly click, hopefully. It's not working for me either. Yes, it is. It's just a bit slow. Okay, we're through. So yeah, I wanted to start with the story about the story. This picture on the left-hand side is of the Anglican Cathedral in Liverpool. It's the longest cathedral in Europe, apparently. And these people in my slides are my family. So on the right-hand side in the blue is my Uncle Bud. Next to him is my father. And then what this whole project started with was because of my grandmother, Josephine Sedgwick Johnson, born in 1910. And she was brought up in one of these courthouses. I was on the top of that tower on the left-hand side about 3 or 4 years ago with my Uncle Buddy. And he was telling me all about where he did his apprenticeship, because there's a fantastic view from there. If you ever go to Liverpool, if you've been to Liverpool, go up there. It's well worth the €5 to walk up the top and see the views from up there. But he was talking to me about my grandmother, and I'd never met my grandmother. I was 1 year old when she passed away, and talking about how she was part of what they called the Barefoot Society. So she didn't have a pair of shoes until she was 14 years old, and these courthouses were basically poor houses, slum houses as they were called. And yes, we're sliding, brilliant. So if you've never seen the slum houses, the courthouses before, there's some images on the screen for you to see. There's a model there from the National Museums of Liverpool. And they've got a fantastic exhibition in the Waterfront Museum down in Liverpool of the courthouses. And that's the only thing I'd seen about it. I didn't realize that my grandmother was brought up, and that's only 2 generations away from me. You know, it's quite scary. They were developed and built because of the massive population growth in Liverpool in the sort of 1800s to the 1900s. As you can see, the population of Liverpool grew from 90,000 in 1801 to over 800,000 in 1931. So there's a massive influx of people. You know, Liverpool was had one of the busiest ports in the world. It was the biggest ports in the world. So there was a need to create housing, and these courthouses, called courthouses because of, you see that little grey one in the middle there is a typical courthouse, very much packed with people. You know, each one of these houses was very small, but there was up to maybe 10 to 15 people living in each one of these houses. Some of them, and the one in the center there, the small one, you can see they had cellars as well. And lots of people lived in these sort of slums with no very poor ventilation and very poor lighting. So after my discussion with my Uncle Bud on top of the tower, I said to him, right, I'm gonna go and find one. And he said, well, you won't find any because they were all knocked down in the kind of mid 20th century, 1950s and 60s. They basically ploughed them. And on the top left-hand side there, you can see Pembroke Place. And Pembroke Place was one of the last standing courthouses in Liverpool. And I was up there in Liverpool a few months ago, and that's even gone now. So there's literally no houses left from this era. So being a digital artist and 3D designer, we thought we'd reconstruct it. And yeah, so Pembroke Place, just to sort of just catch you up with this as well. So a couple of years ago, Dr. Elizabeth Stewart from the Liverpool Museum, an archaeologist, sort of did the dig. They call it digging up Little Hell, and they found some of these really just fascinating, interesting artifacts that were left by the people living in the courthouses at Pembroke Place. And you can see on the left-hand side things like those little bone, I've forgotten the name of that thing, it'll come back to me, bowls, pots, all these kind of things that were found in the car park. And she picked up on this reconstruction that we did, where we used 3D technology, so 3D design. We use predominantly Blender, which is a 3D sort of design application. We have embedded those sort of 3D artifacts using Sketchfab, and the way that we've got this out to the public is in the form of a kind of 360 sort of 360 tours, usually used for things like estate agents and things like that to show around houses. We created a digital reconstructed version using Blender, and in Blender, which is an amazing bit of sort of software, you can place in a digital 360 camera. So if you've seen a 360 camera, it's one of these. If anybody can see me, it's like a 360 camera. You can put into a real world space, or you can do the same thing with a 3D space or 3D created space. So we constructed this reproduction of a courthouse, a typical courthouse in Liverpool, put in a 360 camera, and then took what we call an equirectangular image, and then put that into SeekBeak, which you can see up there, is our platform of choice to get that out to the world. So you'll see, hopefully, on each of the slides, I should have mentioned this earlier, is a QR code. So if you've got a phone handy and you want to see this thing and experience this thing, just scan the QR code in the bottom right-hand corner of the slide, and you can see it on your phone or on your computer. So we constructed it, and if I can flip to the next one as well, and created one reproduction of one of the rooms, or a typical room that would have been in there. And typically it was, you had sort of ground floor, you had a second floor, and then you had an attic space. And as I said, some of these houses were holding families of 10, 15 people. And when you think of the size of these things, you can see how compact these courthouses were. So I'm going to just try and press the button to see if we can actually have a look around these things. So I really wanted to get to this bit before I got my Oscar music turning up, because I know 10 minutes is quite short. So if anybody's viewing this at the moment, fantastic. There's 3 views that you can look around. I'm trying to do this, it's a little bit slow, but just look around. We have narration. I'll press the narration. We have interactive elements of seeing the 360 or 3D objects that you can see. I jump over to where the lavvy is. The lavvy is the toilet in Liverpool, and this is a typical courthouse. If I press this.
Are you still cleaning those windows, Polly? You've been at it all morning.
Father Ryan from St. Vincent's is round here later.
So I want to make sure it looks nice. Well, it's my turn to put a pot of tea on today, so come round when he's gone.
Okay, so that gives you can switch that on and off. And if I quickly show you some of the interactive objects we can click on. So you can click on anything that says 360, and that will come with a 3D object. It's very slow on my computer at the moment. I don't know if it's landing with anybody else. I don't know, but you can click and you can move around this thing. I'm going to jump off there very quickly. because I want to just quickly show you the inside, the interior room. In here, I said again, this is a typical sort of interior that you would have found. Very sort of simple amenities in there. There's no running water. All running water was in the Melly fountain outside. And I might just try the pot, see if it loads. So you can look around this whole space, you can pick up these objects and spin them around. We wanted to be able to sort of allow people to experience these courthouses. Yeah, we have one. So you can click and drag this around. And these were some of the objects that were found in the archaeological dig in the digging up Little Hell, and we reconstructed them, and the dominoes on the table as well, to for people to experience. And this was again then shared with the Museum of Liverpool, and yeah, we've had huge sort of positive feedback on this. There are lots of views on the website, and it's done fantastic things for us. And I think my time was up about 2 minutes ago, but yeah, thanks.
Thank you, but it's fascinating.
Amazing. Yeah, absolutely brilliant. And thanks very much for inviting me to.
Absolute pleasure. Yeah, when I first explored the 3D experience with the sound, the accents and the objects, I just thought it was really fascinating, and wanted to hear more and to find out that it's a personal story, that actually your grandmother, experienced that herself. I think that's really interesting and gives another dimension to it. So thank you so much, Carl. So we're going to move on to a final speaker in the session, which is Marinos Ioannidis. And now Marinos is Director of the UNESCO Chair on Digital Cultural Heritage at the Cyprus University of Technology. He has a PhD in the development of a 3D reconstruction engine for digitized objects. He's been involved in too many European cultural heritage projects to mention, really, but recent ones include the Initial Training Network for Digital Cultural Heritage, the Horizon 2020 Virtual Multimodal Museum Project, an EU study on quality in 3D digitization, and the Erasmus Plus Glamours project. But today, Marinos is going to tell us the story behind one of the 3D models that Cyprus has provided to the Twin It campaign, and it's about the Lambusa fishing trawler. So Marinos, over to you.
Thank you very much. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, dear participants. My name is Marinos Ioannidis, and instead to describe myself, I will say that if you Google me, then you will find only 5 existing in the EU, and I am the oldest one. Probably I am under protection, I don't know. Nevertheless, the presentation of today, it's about a trawler, a fishing boat. Yes, the Lambusa, so-called Lambusa fishing trawler from Limassol in Cyprus, a project which was implemented within the work of the UNESCO Chair, funded by 2 EU projects, the EU ERA Chair Mnemosini project and the Oerica 3D. Now, the UNESCO Chair on Digital Cultural Heritage, who we are, our name is Mnemosini, and our tasks, we are developing new approaches to heritage digitization, managing cultural knowledge and memory, building innovative cultural heritage experiences, promoting use and reuse of digitized collections, research collaborations in a high level, setting standards, that's extremely important for us in a time period of the 21st century, digital transition, digital transformation, when no standards existing in the area of the documentation of the past. And of course, we are dealing with a very, very specific topic, from an object to a monument. And if you see our name, Mnemosini, an ancient Greek goddess from the mythology, the mother of the 9 ladies, muses, they had a temple named, well-known around the world, museum, a space of knowledge as it is defined today, a space in the old time where the ancient Greeks went to preserve their memories. So having that in mind, a year ago, we got a call from the mayor. I answered the call. I am the mayor of the city of Limassol. Mr. Mayor, good morning. I paid all my taxes. Everything is okay. Don't worry. No. Thank you. But there is something which we need your help, your support. Please, if you come to my office. The day was long. And at the end, we landed not so far away from here, a kilometer away, in a space to see, to observe, to monitor, an object like the one that you see there. The person on the left-hand side from me, I am on the right-hand side, is the mayor, and with the blue shirt is a colleague of mine at the university, and then the naval engineer at the end, the left-hand side of the municipality. And what was this? What the mayor wanted to know? Could you please? You have the UNESCO chair. Your name is Mnemosyne. Here is our object. Could you please take care that this memory will be for the future well preserved, and as a milestone for Cyprus, for the Greek-speaking, let's say, area? Say, Mr. Mayor, we are not a naval engineering office. We are a university. We are the technological university existing since 20 years on this island. But, you know, that's something unusual for us. So we are handling sites, monuments, museum objects, but not boats. Said, oh, well, you know, you are now here in the city of Limassol, a lot of boats. Voila, if you can please help. And we undertook this initiative with the help of EU funding. And I would like to show to you what we had in front of us when we started. You see, this was the object which we had to take care to digitize from the beginning. The surrounding, but also on the top of the boat. So you can see now pathology examples of the frames of the boat, and whatever we developed out of that, with the help and support of a very, very latest technology software, which has been presented from the previous colleague. And the boat, as it has been digitized, and the boat, as it has been modeled. But that's just only a geometry. This is nothing so far as the digital cultural heritage concern. It's just only a digital twin, but not a memory twin, as we define it in Cyprus. This is exactly the difference. And now we are moving from the digital twin to the memory twin. And here is the challenge coming now. So now, from a trawler to a museum, that was the task of the municipality, of the mayor, who wanted to get the boat well documented, well preserved, reconstructed, and then to bring it to a museum. But why? Because now it has, with the past, we document, and one of our main tasks is what? To learn from the past, to improve the future. And UNESCO chair, UNESCO, United Nations, Sustainable Development Goals, the 17 goals, 2030, one of them, most important, life below water, but below water now, we want to stay above the water every day, yeah? So now, life below the water. And what does this mean? If we go and analyze it, we see 6 sub-goals, and we are interested about the last one. You see there, the last one with the boat. You know what it is? It's a trawler. Stop subventions, stop trawling, stop overfishing. So, and that's also a special directive from the European Union. So now, Lambusa is the last traditional fishing boat within the entire Greek-speaking area, Cyprus and Greece. Period, it's a new one, it's not an ancient, very modern. 1955 to 2000 was the boat in service. The type is Liberty. It is no longer built neither in Cyprus or in Greece. Activity, the boat was active until 2004, until the Department of Fisheries of the Cyprus government handed it over to the municipality of Limassol. Limassol is at the sea, yeah, and is the capital of culture in the island. So, and there is one regulation, there is one directive, as we say in the EU, the European Maritime and Fisheries Fund, destroy the boats which are taking care of the overfishing, let's say in this way. But destroying that now, but you know what it was years ago here in the EU? They funded to build them, to produce them. So you see, it has to do with the memory, it has to do with lesson learned from the past, pay attention, yeah, take care, do the job even better. And now it comes. It is a representative example of the Greek shipbuilding tradition and a unique piece and a living reminder of the history of Cypriot and Greek fishing, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. Size is 25 meters and the capacity 48 tons. So, and our duty was not just only to generate or to build the digital twin. We say, if we do, we are also a research, we are also a UNESCO chair, we are an academic institution, we need to do something out of that, not just only geometrical representations. So we took care to find all those who had to use at the end of the day all of our data. And our approach was in a holistic way. So digitize, bring all the knowledge together in such a way so that the multidisciplinary community can benefit out of that. Not just the school, the students, not only the tourists, but even the engineers, even those who are going to be in the future active in the one or in the other way in this area. So creating now one of our, let's say, knowledge-based documents out of the digital twin was one of the biggest challenges was what? The drawings, naval engineering drawings. This is the language, ladies and gentlemen, which one naval engineer, a specialist, an expert can understand, having in front of him this document or here. And that's the beauty of the digital documentation of the past. So by saying this, then we exploded, of course, we splitted that, we reconstructed that, we reproduced that, 3D printing, and in such a way so that we created Legos, puzzles, educational lessons, and so on. And last week, on the 14th of May, it was a special event in Brussels, the so-called Twin IT, during a summit of the ministers of cultures of the member states of the European Union. Here, our minister, the Deputy Minister of Culture, handed over the Lambusa to Europeana to be well preserved. So we opened the door of Lambusa to the entire continent to entire globus via Europeana. And of course, we created the ebook of Lambusa, the e-Lambusa platform. And there is the entire story in an interactive ebook. You can even use that. The platform is still under development, yeah? From two of our students here at the university, informatic students. And today you will see something, tomorrow it will be changed there and so on. it's coming to an end also. So Lambusa, a trawler with tradition. Here is the QR code for the elambusa.eu platform. If you scan it, you will be automatically landing on the platform. There is where you will find all the information and the high detail 3D documents, which it takes some time with the bandwidth, depending where you are and what the kind of devices you are using. Ladies and gentlemen, dear Beth, thank you very much for the opportunity given to us to present to you our results in the case of a boat, which we managed to bring in here to you within the last 1 year. The QR code is a link to our website where you will find all the information. Thank you very, very much.
So much. That's absolutely fascinating, Marinos. And I love, excuse me, I love the idea of this difference between a digital twin and a memory twin. And I think it's this connection to place that means something and is something to do with social history and identity that really links all of these three projects. So I'm going to ask the speakers, please, if you have in a second, if you have a look in the Q&A, there are some direct questions to you there. If you could respond to those by text, typing, that'd be really useful. But I'd just like to finish with one question to all of you, and if you can manage a really short answer, that would be, I'd really appreciate that. So what struck me about these projects is the very strong sense of place as important, and particularly the concept of home. All these places, Maria used a quote that said, "My home is in my heart and it migrates with me." Carl's project was literally about homes, and Marinos, this trawler, represents sort of livelihoods linked very much to a place. So my question to you all is, how have audiences who view these things as to do with their home, how have they reacted? Or is there anything that you can tell us about the reflections of your audiences to these? And I'll go in the order that you spoke. So Maria, if we could have a brief response to that from you, I'd love that.
Well, it's quite hard to answer directly, I think, but it's no doubt that the Lavo represent very important part of our tradition and history, and the films also. As I said briefly, the films created kind of a new space, a new way of telling stories in the film medium. Aran 360 is, as far as I know, the first time that films have been made with a kind of a narrative in a circular storytelling with the narrative. 360 film, of course, has been used all over the world, but usually for other things, very visual films or nature films and so on and so forth. So this was a very different way of telling these stories in the Lavo, and of course that reflects and represents something very special for our people. So I think our Sami audiences responded to that in a very kind of special way, and for national international audiences, of course, the reflections are a bit different.
Thank you so much for that. And Carl, how about the people of Liverpool? How did they respond?
We've had really amazing sort of messages from all over the world, really, and not just the city of Liverpool, because these slum houses were sort of across the north, especially in Manchester and Leeds and all these places. But we get kind of waves of messages and spikes in our sort of viewing, where, sometimes on Facebook, they've got these, you've got groups on there, sort of history of Liverpool or the courthouses, and somebody shares it, and then you see this kind of spike happen, and then lots of messages coming through about. And we get, really personal sort of answers about how people's parents or grandparents or lived there, and they remember seeing these things, in the sort of, as I said, they're kind of still around in the 1950s. So yeah, it's an amazing response, and the objects, the objects are, just trigger things with people. They're just memory triggers for people. So yeah, whenever it's kind of nostalgic and it's personal, and you know, our sort of history thing there is still just about manageable. You know, we've still got enough people around who actually remember living, some of them living in those places, you know. So yeah, it's been really brilliant for me, my whole family, you know, and for them. And my uncle Bed unfortunately died last year, but my father's always talking about Liverpool, and he was brought up in Toxteth in Liverpool, which is quite a hard place. And whenever we go up there, it's kind of we do a story trip, you know, to all these places, and yeah, it's really important to people.
Wonderful.
And we triggered a little bit of that. So
excellent, thank you, Carl. And Marinos, the people of Limassol, have they responded to the trawler being available to them in this way?
Yes, the boat, I didn't say it earlier, but the boat was or is still one of the symbols of the city of Limassol. Yeah, is the only one existing in the entire Greek speaking area. And it was an attraction for students, elementary school, gymnasium, tourists, and everybody, foreigners visiting for business, the city, and so on. So now the boat is fully renovated, and in the next few days, it's going back to the sea. It's going back to the original site. Yes, it's going to be a press conference. And of course, that was why we pushed so much in the last 1 year to have it in Europeana. And now we are trying in the next a few days to get also the platform ready to go. And I'm sure that now with the digital era, the visibility of this new identity, refreshed identity of the city of Limassol is going to be something special.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And thank you to all three of you for sharing your stories about your places that mean something to you with us all. If you can perhaps go on to the Q&A and answer some of those questions, we'd be very grateful. We're going to move on straight to our next panel of the morning. So I'll pass over to Alex to introduce our next guests in a second. Our next panel is about, it follows on really. It's about opening up sort of things to do with the complexity of humanity that Georgina mentioned this morning to new audiences. So connecting very particular parts of our heritage and history and culture with audiences. So I'll pass over to Alex and wish everybody an enjoyable rest of the day.
Yes, opening new audiences to new horizons. So I will let actually the speakers tell what kind of new horizons are there. But our first speaker, Kornelia Binicevic, who is anthropologist and the founder of Ladies on Records, was with us with her DJ set yesterday. So at the end of the day, you were all vibing and having a little chat. It was the music that we all loved. So many nice comments, so much fun. Now we'll hear directly from Kornelia about her work, why she does it, how important it is to increase visibility of women in the music industry. Kornelia, the floor is yours. You can take control of the slides.
Okay. I'm unmuted then?
Yes.
Okay.
It works.
Okay. So, thank you for having me. It's a big pleasure to be on this festival. Fantastic stories so far. I will try to give something from myself here. My story is very personal. It's a storytelling through journey, life path that I took some years ago. I'm Polish. I'm originally from Poland, but since 2015, I have been living in Istanbul. I am a curator, anthropologist, researcher, but also a DJ and a record collector. All those things came together, especially in Turkey, in Istanbul, when I arrived in 2015 to discover the music of women. This moment, 2015, is one of those moments when people around the world, including diggers, researchers, music enthusiasts, started to be mesmerized by the music of Turkey from the 60s, 70s, 80s, because it was a very interesting period in the music history of this country. And I was one of them as a collector of records. And then I realized that while describing and understanding this music, I don't see women. I have been always focused on women music, on their contribution to the music. That's why I decided to explore why the Turkish music is perceived mostly by the men with mustache, and why we don't see women as important contributors to the music scene. But of course, this trip to Turkey wouldn't happen if, of course, I didn't have my anthropological background, because telling the stories about music is telling the stories of people's lives. And telling life, you have to need a lot of tools and technical and intellectual opportunities. So that's why my anthropology is one of the major tools. I work mostly to uncover the stories of women in music business, but also uncover the story of women per se, women who are participating, who gave so much and equally or to the cultural heritage of whole mankind, while both stories have been for so many decades, millennials, neglected or silenced. So as an anthropologist, I work as I collect stories, collect music, collect interviews. I do very in-depth research, and my major tools of telling the stories are music compilations, usually released on vinyl, mixtapes, which are the most democratic and easy to access for free compilations of the music of women from all around the world, but specifically also from the Middle East and Turkey. Podcasts, which are the forms of telling stories, audio stories, radio DJ mixes, as I said, DJ performances, sound talks, live sessions, written articles, but also multimedia projects. But everything started, as I said, in 2015 in Istanbul. I would like to, before I take you to more details, I would like to just take your hands and show you why I started to explore Turkish music. Turkey perceived by me as a bridge between the culture that I come from and the culture that I'm very interested in. Let's listen just for a short while, sung by Nur Yoldaş from the beginning of 80s. No, this was Nur Yoldaş. It's for me, it's 2015 when I came across the music of Turkish women from 60s, 70s, and 80s. I started to explore it very deeply. As I said, they were not present in the history of music so much. Why Turkey is a good place to look at, not only at the world of the Middle East or Turkey itself, but also a place to look at myself and my culture. Turkey, Istanbul is a Turkey, Istanbul per se is a place as a bridge, is literally a bridge between two realities, between Europe and Asia. This beautiful logotype is the logo of one of the oldest Turkish labels that I worked with, label that produced music back in the 70s. It's called Istanbul Plak, and you can see the beautiful skyline of Istanbul. So Of course, digging in music and exploring the stories of women is not only discovering the beauty, not only discovering the easy, nice things, it's also discovering hard stories and also discovering very complicated politics, which in Turkey took place since the very beginning. So one of the biggest singer and performer of the 70s was Selda Bajan. I came to Turkey actually because I really wanted to explore more of her. That's why Selda Bajan is still performing, and I needed to meet her personally to tell the story of her and to produce some cultural products to spread the news about the women in politics and women in music and politics. So So that was Selda. I came to Istanbul and I really wanted to meet her to understand what is the role of woman, a heroine, a political activist in the Turkish music. So of course, I met her, we became friends. And in 2022, I created and curated and co-created with one of the Spanish labels, the repress of the most acknowledged album, from 1976. So I also wrote revisited the whole story of her life and I tried to rewrite the story of her life in the context of women empowerment. So all those efforts came together in 2022. One of those examples of my work is also the Turkish Ladies Music compilation released on vinyl. And this is the work that actually reflects 6 years of my work and being immersed in Turkish music from here. Those were the presentation of women active in music back in the days, digging in archives, analog archives, working with tapes, with forgotten recordings, and bringing them back to life. Of course, meeting the artists themselves, and then creating a music compilation that could represent the music of women from Turkey. So, as I said, at the very beginning, everybody was believing that the coolest Turkish music used to be produced and created by the men. This compilation was about to tell a different story. So the compilation was very well accepted by the community of music professionals and listeners from all around the world. And it was one of the biggest things I could do for the music from Turkey, from myself. But of course, Ladies on Records, because this is what we are talking about, my form of work also tries to work beyond time. So one of the things that I wanted to spread the knowledge about women and their and our cultural responsibility in the societies was the thing that I created together with a community of many musicians, DJs, diggers, producers from all around the world. When in 2020 there was a big crisis of human rights in Poland regarding the abortion law, we, together with so many women from all around the world, we created Polish Women Revolution Tapes, which is a project that was supposed to support women in a sonic way, support the women who are on the streets and fighting for the right to decide about their lives and bodies. So another thing I would like to say, storytelling is everything. We can tell so many things that were hidden, neglected, forgotten. And I always try to first meet a person and then produce something that would reach other people. So one of the projects that I wanted to mention is a project called Intimacy of Longing. It's a project designed to tell the stories of female women migrants from Turkey who left from Turkey and started to live in Germany. I asked them questions. How do you feel? What do you miss? Do you miss? And how do you handle the missing? So this project was created out of meetings, sharing stories, crying together, and connecting through music, because they co-curated with me a music compilations of missing and longing their past lives. Let's skip this because the time is passing very fast. Yes. So I would like to say, storytelling, I take it super seriously because this is part of my life, my way of seeing things. Another thing that I am very, very happy to do are sound postcards or podcasts that are revealing the stories that were never being told before. This is what I focus. You can all of those, you can discover on my websites. This is Ladies on Records. You can discover music, you can discover podcasts, you can discover texts, mixtapes. It's all free. It's all for you. And I hope that this will invite you to discover stories that are just next to you, just waiting to be heard. And at the very end, I would like to say, as I said, I am a DJ, and one of the most effective way of promoting and sharing music is inviting people to celebrate. So this is a video from one of my shows in the Jazz Cafe in London. So I would like to take you there for a moment. Be with me now. Can we do it? Maybe that's enough of partying. We still have to work a bit. So thank you very much. I hope I shared as much as possible in those few minutes. So I kindly invite you to celebrate the women and their contribution to the history of our civilization.
Thank you so much, Cornelia, for sharing the wealth of material, but also for taking storytelling so seriously. We really value it. And it was an amazing discovery, both visual, just to see how serious you are about listening to the stories and meeting the person, and then through meeting the person, meeting all the other people and making all dance. We will switch the gears now. If you have any questions, put them in the Q&A section. We'll address them at the end of the session or through typing. And now we'll pass to another topic. Our next speaker is Iris Groszek, Head of the Public Relations and Social Media Department of the Foundation of Hamburg Memorials and Learning Centers, commemorating the victims of Nazi crimes. Iris's work focuses on public relations, culture marketing, digital communications. She's very interested in digital memory and thinking about new perspectives of remembrance. Iris, the floor and the control is yours.
Thank you so much, Alexandra. So let me see if this works. Yeah.
It does.
So this is now like a shortcut. So thank you for having me. So at the world's first concentration camp memorial on TikTok, we have already gained some experience on how to reach a young audience on this platform in the past 3 years. In my short presentation, I would like to share with you some of our learnings and best practices. how does a TikTok at a memorial can look like. So I just wanted to share one of a TikTok video. This is a collab video with the Deutsche Welle, and this reached on TikTok alone more than 9 million views.
3 things you should never do at a former concentration camp. Number 1, don't forget where you are. In this concentration camp, thousands of people were killed. Don't worry about your outfit. We don't have a dress code, but do worry about your shoes.
The ground isn't meant to be easy to walk on here because stones like this one symbolize the pain and the suffering that the prisoners had to endure.
Don't judge how others behave. There was a family who took pictures of their toddler in the exhibition, which seems inappropriate, but this toddler's great-grandfather had been killed here. This was the way of the family to say, we're living despite the murder of our relative. 3 things you should never do at a former concentration camp. Number 1.
I don't need to tell you that TikTok with roughly 500 million active users has the most potential when we think about reaching a young audience. By now, even Germany's chancellor is on TikTok, even though he is far from being a Kaby Lame or Zach King, like influencers on TikTok. And it might be a bit cringe when you see the first videos are about his briefcase, but hey, can TikTok be a place to communicate sensitive topics in an appropriate and useful way anyway? Studies tells us that the younger half of the population can't name a single concentration camp. On the other side, other studies say that teens are more interested in learning about the Holocaust, but they want to do it in a different way. So our creator, Daniel, asked them on TikTok, is it true? And at least 215 replied. So that is one idea on how to get a young audience to engage with an institution at eye level. On a platform like TikTok, asking them honest questions they can really give an honest answer to. Yes, I think we should be willing to get in touch with the young generation on their platforms. We need to be where they are. And yes, serious TikToks are possible. We can do digital storytelling using the platform's features, use aesthetics and the language the audience on the platform knows. And as someone working at a concentration camp memorial, we had to learn quite a lot, especially how to playfully, but still appropriate to the topic, unpack and kind of downsize complex topics. We need to contextualize and provide information to an audience that is used to quickly consuming short video content. When you remember the first video I've shown to you, he was talking very quick and the cuts were very quick. So we had to learn a lot. So when we decided to use TikTok, our goals were we wanted to first reach out to a young international audience. That's why we are doing this in English. We wanted to make our topics relevant for a new community. We wanted to raise the visibility of historical topics for Generation Z. And last but not least, we wanted to raise the visibility of the Neuengamme concentration camp memorial. And it worked pretty well, especially in the beginning when TikTok was still this bright and new and young community. Our topics were somewhat new on the platform and we had a very active community and we really reached the international audience. We are still growing. Slower than in the beginning, but the community also has changed in the meanwhile. For example, it's interesting to see that the people using the platform are getting older. This is the current statistic of our followers. And they also don't engage as much anymore, but it's still very lively compared to our other social media accounts. And this is what we do on our account. Our community concept says our presenters are young volunteers who are able to produce personal content, like digital storytelling rule number 1, being this honest, direct, informative voice at eye level, trying to find a balance between the stories about the life of our volunteers and the work of our memorial, like content line A, versus history talks and information talks, like content line B. Talking about history talks, there we provide on one side basic info about the Shoah and National Socialism versus digging deeper into history, where we surprise our audience with new information, like digital storytelling rule number 2. And we answer questions and provide space for reflections. And we do collaborations and invite creators like family members of survivors to guest appearances. To make it broader, that's our learnings. It's great to be able to get in touch with a young audience via digital storytelling when you take the community seriously and when you know the rules as listed here. All these points are important when you think about how the algorithm works on TikTok. Like every video will be shown to like 100 random users, and it's depending on whether and how they react and whether they swipe away immediately, it is decided whether the video is shown to the next 100 people. So that means get to the point immediately, use hooks, use strong pictures in the very beginning. And when you read challenges and trends, a word on challenges and trends, I would say our account is like 60% history talks, 35% is personal content, and 5% is challenges and trends. And yes, you can include them like museums on TikTok already do. For us as a memorial, we always discuss the possibilities and what's appropriate to do. For example, we were using the We Work At, of course, trend, if you're familiar with it, because sometimes TikTok trends also swept over to Instagram. This video here has 2.8 million views, 177,000 likes, and more than 1,300 comments. Let's have a look. It's very short.
Here at the concentration camp memorial, you learn to look more closely at everyday objects. For example, this grate here looks normal at first sight, but when you look closely, do you see what I see?
Do you see what he sees? Why was this video becoming viral? It's short. You don't really answer the question you raise in the video, and people feel it is okay to reply whatever they think. But what is the problem with this video going viral? Is this video educational, or is it just for the attention? Is it enough? At least we got a massive amount of new followers, and we did a follow-up on the swastika as symbol of the Nazi regime, because this was why it went so viral, because you could see in the grade a swastika if you want to. But we also got a massive amount of Holocaust denial and other problematic comments about swastikas and the Nazi time in general, which leads me to problem number 2. Right-wing activists. They are trying to hijack TikTok for their propaganda, sometimes in a subtle way, sometimes very loud, spreading hate and misinformation in the hope that many young users will fall for them. And these activists have been so successful, I think, because TikTok has long represented a kind of socio-political vacuum in which such messages have mostly been disseminated unchallenged. And in the last video, we had a ton of strange comments. Whether a comment is anti-Semitic or racist or perceived as such often depends on the situation. That's what makes it so difficult to recognize. Think about jokes, for example. What is the person trying to do? Who is hurt by that joke? How to deal with it? And we found some ideas how to deal with it. And especially I have learned a lot and continue to learn about memes, emojis, wordings. We, for example, use the platform Stop Word List that now also includes things like wooden doors, Palestine, and the so-called Hitler salute message emoji, so that we can first review the comment and approve or delete before it's shown to our community. We try to focus on empowerment and evaluate if a response to a problematic comment is even worthwhile, like checking the profile and decide what to do, like co-water, ignoring, or reporting. Not only depending on the commenter's ability and willingness to learn, but also on about what the silent readers take away from that. But to end on a positive note, we were encouraged by the resonance of the videos, the openness of the community. We were surprised by the flexibility and the diversity of the platform. We saw unexpected but interesting discussions with a new audience. And you don't have to have perfect videos. We learned also some extent imperfection kind of might be the key when we think in terms of authenticity and trustworthiness. That was quite interesting. So 4 basic rules that institutions should follow if they want to be successful on social media platforms like TikTok. And yes, it's a lot of work. So I ask institutions to view digital education as a basic task and deploying personnel accordingly. And that's a thank you from me.
Thank you so much, Iris. That was so interesting and really amazing to show that a very serious topic can be explored on a platform that most of people think is for dancing and challenges and only fun stuff. And also, I'm very impressed how you can address all this potential backlash, criticism with this kind of peace of mind and very, kind of calm attitude. This is something to follow, and also about like doing your thing and not following the trends, which is about both of you. We have some time for Q&A, but I would start with a question for both of us. So you have these different components of your work, which is some of it is more about getting attention and entertainment, and the other one really educating. How do you see it? For example, Cornelia, do you think people who come to the party to dance, is it enough? Or do they need to understand, search further? Or with Iris, is it enough that someone like answers one's question and that's it? Or do you really want people to go more in depth?
So maybe I start. First of all, I don't believe in just pure entertainment. I believe there is always a space to educate, even in the most cool and easygoing situation. I take every opportunity to seed kind of interest and to represent something that is not represented. So I believe that every meeting with any form we get can give you a chance to enter a totally new reality of recognition and broaden your horizons. So yeah, I very often I thank to people who come to a DJ party. They come and they literally wanna thank also me. So there is this connection of appreciation. I appreciate that they are here with me, and they appreciate that I'm there for them. So it's a nice combination, and I think the journey starts from this moment for them, the individual journey.
Perfect, thank you. Iris?
Yeah, the journey not only starts, it's commencing, because obviously we're an educational account, but if we want to stay relevant with the younger generation, and of course they visit us on site here at the memorial site, like in a school class or something like that. But when they are gone from here, we never keep the dialogue alive. So, and that's so important if we want to be relevant in the future. So that's why we decided to do this TikTok account. And yes, of course, you can't explain the Shoah or the National Socialism in 30 seconds videos, but you can't do it in a 3-hour guided tour as well. So it's just, I know it's snippets, but the interest is there, and that's so fascinating to see that the people really commented and want to know that they might not find an answer at Google or something. And yes, so we are educational, but we try nevertheless use some kind of playful approach to talk about serious topics. And I was very surprised to see that it worked out quite well, because it's 3 years over and we are still there.
Yeah, true. Another question that we have from our audience is about the more technical part of our work. So what apps, tools you use to create your work and put it out there? So do you use only TikTok native app, for example, or also other tools?
Yeah, well, it's important to have a phone. And the most important part is having a good microphone, because if you can't understand anything, it doesn't make sense. So these are the most important things you have to use, and also be creative and have a great pool of volunteers. I really love my volunteers, and I'm very thankful that they agreed to go out there in the open, showing their face and talk about personal experiences even. So that's great. And other than that, and being creative, you don't really need much. We do use the TikTok app, at the app, and we do have an Apple Mac laptop with a tool. I will write it in the comments later on. I just don't know the name. I'm sorry. I have to think about it.
Thank you so much. How about you, Cornelia? What are the tools? How is the balance between your anthropologist part and the DJ part in your work?
So because I work on so many tools, but everything is the culture and music, but so many tools are represented there. So I don't use TikTok. I never had a TikTok account. I don't understand anything. Would like to, maybe I should learn. I stayed on the side of keeping it tight. So I don't spread to too many channels. I do mostly Instagram, where I create the stories and also write stories that are implementing new idea of seeing the music and hearing the music. But also one of the most important tools is SoundCloud for me, because I use a sound as a language, as a tool to introduce my language, where people can listen to the music, listen to the podcasts, comment, participate somehow through commenting everything what I do, giving me suggestions, which happens very often. And I sound maybe a little bit old school, but also website. My website, which is designed as a form of a magazine where people can follow up deeper stories, and there everything is put there with illustrations, with SoundCloud, with mixtapes, with YouTubes. I believe this is also like a agenda where they can approach all what I do in a good way. Yeah, I think that's it.
Thank you so much. It's very interesting to see that you both have kind of your niche and you stick to it. So you don't have to be all over the place. You really have TikTok, which is a very popular social media channel, and you put serious messages on it. And you, Cornelia, stick to really kind of tools which are the best for showing music, and including your website, which is like a curation. You both mentioned volunteers, collaborations, people who share stories with you. How do you find them? How do you meet them? You told us a little bit, but how those encounters happen?
Well, in my case, it's quite easy, because for years we were working together with ASF. It's an organization. Actions, I don't know the English word for it. Aktion Sühnezeichen Friedensdienste. It's in German. So there's for sure an English name for it. So it's a volunteer service. and we work with them for like 20 years. And every year, new volunteers come to us, and that's so inspiring because we keep getting new people with new questions come here, and they come from different countries. Right now, we have someone from America, and last year we had someone from England, and before that you saw a person from Ukraine. So that's also great to have these volunteers. So I don't have to really search actively in this case. And on the other side, we are working with like the Amical, the Association of Former Prisoners and their Descendants, to get in touch and to ask them if they would like to contribute and work with us.
Me, myself, I don't have volunteers, I think. Well, I work with people who feel the same vow calling. So it's depending on the project, I work with people who feel similarly that it's important to work on it. And for example, in the project Intimacy of Longing, I worked with Turkish artist who migrated from Turkey to Germany, and she literally put her own personal biographic experience into creating the artwork. Or another girl, Turkish, who migrated to another country, who helped me in the conducting interviews with a community of women. So I believe this is how it works in my field. So it's a unity of people who believe the things we are talking are important. Of course, many of those projects would never happen if the external support of the institutions who support the projects in a physical way, and also supporting financially. So this is also a little extremely important. But yeah, I mean, it's a community based. I mean, I feel even though I work alone, I don't work alone. Because the example of the project, the Polish Women Revolution Tapes, which was created to support the women who were fighting for the right to have an abortion possibility in case all women from all around the world united, and we were all volunteers. So if you're asking about volunteers, I think I am volunteer all the time, and all the people who join me, they are kind of volunteers as well. So we are participating in the creation of one common thing.
I love how you kind of connected from like real volunteers to like volunteers working for the same cause. And earlier in both presentations, there was this notion of bridge. So a bridge between generations, between different ways of reaching the audiences. But also between like different political realities. I'm curious, what's next for you, and what bridges are you planning to build in the near future, and in what way? What are your next projects, and what are your dreams to finish on a high?
Do you want to start?
I can start. I'm actually, the bridge is very, very important symbol in my life. Maybe that's why the reason why I chose Istanbul, the place that is all in between. But yeah, I'm looking for bridges. I'm looking for possibilities of creating a common space for people who usually don't have a chance to chat, talk, express. And my next thing is now here, still in Istanbul, where I live, where I create a cultural project deep in the heart of one of the old Greek neighborhoods, which I'm trying to, together with my partner, I'm trying to recreate the possibility of communication between the Greek people and other cultural and ethnic minorities and the Turkish people. This is a musical, anthropological, journalistic journey, which we create here on the spot in this wonderful Greek neighborhood of Balat.
Thank you.
And I would say keep your eyes and ears open and listen to what's happening outside and where to be active. It's so important to have a digital communication concept. And our next project is right now we are working on a digital remembrance game. It's a serious game for students. So this will be the next thing we will offer to the next generation.
Thank you so much. It was fascinating to really be from east to west, from past to the future, meet different communities and so many formats you are working with. I am so grateful for you participating in our festival.